We are here with Sabrina Cardone, the host of PragerU's series, The Hustle. And it's
Hello.
hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Um,
you.
so you're the host of The Hustle, and it's a series highlighting young entrepreneurs starting a business from their passions. You're also the daughter of Grant Cardone. How has your father inspired you? Just to dive into some of your background on a personal level, how has your father inspired you just in the whole entrepreneurial field?
So I was homeschooled from third grade onwards. And what I had always learned from being in school and from being around my dad is the educational system in America and probably in other places in the entire world is failing us. And so that really, really, really inspired me and instilled in me these values to help educate, especially on financial levels, which are really ignored in schools. You know, finance, entrepreneurship, communication, these kinds of skills are ignored in schools. And so my dad really inspired me to start helping put out there skills about entrepreneurship, skills about communication, and give people, the keys to life and how to be successful. We had done for many, many years Cardone University, in which we would do similar to PragerU. We'd have educational about finance, a little bit different from PragerU because it doesn't really include anything about politics or anything like that. But educational, entrepreneurship, and so on and so on. And when I was given the opportunity to host the Hustle with Prager University, I knew that I had to take it immediately because this was such an amazing opportunity for me to continue educating young people and old people alike on money and just to be able to travel and meet new people and myself learn more. And it was such a great opportunity, and my dad totally inspired it for me. I was offered the opportunity, and I was kind of thinking, hey, should I do this? This can be a lot of commitment. I'm going to have to travel around. But I just knew that I had to take it because it's so worth it to be able to put out into the world something that ultimately you would get back.
Yeah, and I noticed too that you graduated high school at age 15. So you were homeschooled throughout high school as well? Because that was my next question was like, how did that go about? Like, did you, because usually people in high school, they're concerned with more trivial matters and they want to have fun with their friends and they're not thinking ahead. They're not thinking about, moving ahead at a faster pace. What was it that inspired you to do that? And what was the environment like?
I was homeschooled through third grade up to 12th grade when I graduated last year. I was 15 years old. I was motivated to finish school early because although I did really well in school, I got straight A's, 4.0 GPA, I did amazing on my SATs. I didn't really have a lot of interest in school. I really, really wanted to be able to go out into the world and learn different things. Like I work with my dad also in real estate, and that's something that I'm super passionate about. And I love learning anything I can about real estate or doing something like this opportunity with Prager University. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was in school. Um, and just being able to go out into the world and learn from the world. And so I was graduated. I graduated from homeschool last year, and being homeschooled really helped me to be able to take advantage of my resources and get through really early.
You've spoken at conferences alongside your father. So public speaking is like the most people's top fear. Were you ever nervous about that? How did you overcome it if you were? And what are some maybe like patterns of misconceptions that you've noticed speaking at conferences? I assume it's based on finances or budgeting or entrepreneurial activity.
Public speaking is like the number one fear in the world, even above fear of death. People are terrified of public speaking. And I definitely was nervous at first. I remember one time my dad was like, "You're going to speak?" I was like, "I'm so nervous. I'm so shy." He's like, "Sabrina, you're not shy. You've got this. You're not a shy person." And that totally just flipped a switch for me because I'm not a shy person. I'm very outgoing and I can communicate. And I definitely still get nervous when speaking in front of audiences. Normally, I try to speak about something that is kind of going on with me currently. Like recently I spoke about, changing. I just graduated high school. What am I going to go into? What do I want to do? And many people are in alternating patterns of their lives. So I like to just talk about whatever's going on for me personally. I think some misconceptions about speaking is I hear a lot all the time people are like, I could never do what you do. I could never public speak. And that's not true. Anyone can speak on a stage. As long as your message is true to you and you're speaking from your heart and what you truly believe, you can totally do it. And I think that public speaking has really shaped me as a person because it's such a scary experience, but it's given me so many different skills. Like I can communicate. I can communicate one person to one person. I can communicate to you, or I could communicate to big audiences. And so it's given me a lot of skills, and in being able to formulate the way I speak so that it sounds nice and it's appealing to audiences. And so it's really been an amazing thing.
So I watched a couple episodes of The Hustle, and you do a phenomenal job hosting it and kind of guiding, everything along, and getting the information on, these different people's entrepreneurial endeavors. So far, what has been your favorite episode hosting The Hustle?
I think my favorite episode was Lauren's episode, and she was a hairdresser, and that was so fun for me because Lauren was the sweetest girl in the world. She was so nice. We had so much fun. We were laughing the whole time, and I got to learn a lot, and she was very eloquent as well, so she spoke about her business really, really well. I got to learn a lot about hairdressing, which I had never done before. I've never done that. I got to cut some people's hair, which was so fun. And it was just such a great experience. It was really easy. It was very smooth. And I had a lot of fun on that one.
What would be one of your most surprising moments while hosting your show?
Probably one of my most surprising moments was with Eli, who owns a mowing business. And so I got to use one of these big mowers that you sit on. And I'd never done that before either. I got to do so many cool things that I had never done before and experience so many cool things. And that's what I'm hoping the viewer takes away from it too. Like these are very niche entrepreneurial endeavors. And the fact that the principles that they're talking about apply to everyone, all businesses, the principles that we talked about, budgeting and having a plan. These apply to everyone's business, not just a mower's business. And so it was really surprising to me to learn about all the different aspects of this. It was really, really cool. And it was cool to be able to ride a mower. I've never done that. And I was really good at it as well. I think I actually was pretty decent at mowing grass. And, of course, it was just such a cool experience. Like the whole thing. And the crew was so nice. And all the people that I interviewed were so, so sweet. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and I have noticed that too, because I watched a couple different ones, and even though their businesses are very different from one another, like I saw the chili food truck in Las Vegas, and there seemed to be similar patterns of how to, manage the money, the timeline, and everything. What are some patterns that you've noticed overall that make for a good, successful startup business that people have had?
Probably the number one thing, and this ties back to my point earlier, is that all of these people have had some kind of education in entrepreneurship. Whether we had somebody who had watched PragerU before and is learning from this, or watching other people who do, like Cardone University, other entrepreneurship ideas. They all kind of have an idea about how to run a business to begin with. I think it's really difficult to just go into a business and do well. And it might be able to happen, but I think really the education, like having some idea how a business is run, what are the points that you need to have, what do you need to know, how do you pay your taxes? These are really important qualities to know and to have before going into a business. And with all these people, it was seen, to me at least, that they had some kind of idea, whether they had a mentor or were learning online or went to school, whatever. Which is why I think it's so important that more places like PragerU.com or CarneGieUniversity.com are created, more educational platforms for people to learn about business. Because ultimately, that is the key to life. Like you need to be able to work or run a business, and many different people need to know these skills to be able to make money and have food on their plates and, hold up a family. So it's really important, and that's what I think.
Yeah, and PragerU gets pushback sometimes from the more formal institutions of learning, and at the same time though those institutions have failed in certain departments because it's like there doesn't seem to be much education on the things that people will end up using later on in life, like balancing a budget. When I was in school, I don't know if things have changed, but I've heard from people anecdotally that they haven't. But when I was in school, there was never a course on balancing a budget or even learning how to sign a check. What's your reaction to the formal education lacking in that aspect?
I mean, it's totally failed us in our youth. A lot of people my age don't know how to do these things that are really necessary. I'm 16 years old. In 2 years, I'm going to be an adult. And at that point, you're going to have to start working and learning how to manage your finances, or you're just not going to be successful in life. And institutional level education has totally failed us. And I think it's really important that platforms like PragerU and many others are coming out to show education. And I think it's important. More and more people are becoming homeschooled nowadays, which is great because parents can help with the curriculum and include things about finances. And I think personally that more parents should take more responsibility for their kids and their kids learning about finance and entrepreneurship in particular. I mean, it's really an important thing to know. Like, it's literally detrimental to the future of our society. Not only these individuals in their youth not knowing how to make money, but also when all this youth is 40 and 50 and nobody knows how to do the important things of life because no one was ever taught. So it's really important.
So what would you say, based on what you've learned hosting the hustle and meeting all these different people, what would you say makes up the right ingredients to start a business? Obviously, passion is important, but what are other good things that people should have or keep in mind if they're interested in starting a business as well?
I mean, a lot of the people on the show said that passion was like really a leading thing for them. I don't personally think that that's enough. I think you need to have discipline. I think you need to have a plan. I think you need to know somewhat what you're doing and have an ability to kind of learn from the things that are happening to you in your business. I think that's the important thing in starting a business, not just passion alone, because passion's great, right? It's great to be able to love something that you're doing and have interest in something that you're doing, but it's not enough alone. I mean, plenty of people have passions in baking or agriculture, but they're never able to really do it, right? I mean, plenty of people can do that as well, but you also need discipline. You need to know about it, and you need to be able to get into the business and begin and really dedicate yourself to that. So it's definitely like passion is an important aspect, and I think it's good to have passion because that helps motivate you, but you also need to have goals. You also need to have a plan. There's many different things that you need to start a business.
What's your advice to someone who has, passion for something? They found a unique idea that they think is, it's not as well represented in the market, that they could fill that void, but maybe at first they're denied or there's some failures and obstacles along the way. What's your advice, or how common is that for people?
I think it's pretty common. I mean, people are continually pushed back until finally their idea expands. I think, my dad says the number one rule to success is always show up. And so if you're always showing up and you're always getting into these spaces and you're always, like-minded people and you're networking and you're creating a network of people who are doing similar things to you and people who can help you and you can help them, I think that's really the key. Of course, you're probably going to be rejected a couple times in your business, of course, but you have to be persistent. You have to have discipline in what you're doing and continuing forward.
As Gen Z is coming up, becoming adults and getting out there in the workforce and everything, what do you want other generations to know about Gen Z and what makes you guys different?
I think that Gen Z and people my age have a lot of opportunity. We have AI, we have Google, we have social media platforms. We have a lot of opportunity to make it go right for us to succeed. And I just hope that everyone my age does and uses the resources to succeed. PragerU.com is free. YouTube is free. You can learn. You can know. And as long as you are going toward knowing and being able to create something with your life and with your business and for your family, I think, it's going to work out amazingly. And I hope that everyone takes that opportunity.
How can people find out more about you and what you're doing with PragerU, and where can they follow you and what's next?
You can follow me on Instagram at Real Sabrina Cardone. What's next is hopefully we're going to get another season of The Hustle, and we're going to keep going around the country to keep interviewing young entrepreneurs and helping it to educate millions and millions of people. What's next for me? I'm going to continue working with my dad and in real estate and learning more about entrepreneurship and sharing the things that I learned.